Hello, students. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are starting a very new chapter, that is chapter 16, Internet and Open Source Concept. Now, basically, in this chapter, we will be discussing very few theoretical concepts where we'll discuss what is the meaning of different kinds of software, whether it is an open software, open source software, or if it is a paid software. What are the different kinds of internet related stuff, and what are the intellectual property rights? If at all there is an internet, then of course comes along with the various issues related to that and how the Indian government tackles all those. All these things is what we will be discussing mainly in this chapter. So it is going to be a 4 sessions with which we will be covering this particular chapter, which is Internet and Open Source. So by the time we complete this chapter, we will be learning about various definitions and terms used in the internets and websites. We will also learn about various web browsers. We will also understand the freeware software and how and methods of compute virus attacks. All these things we will be learning, wherein which few of them we have already learned in the previous sessions about viruses and all those things. All right, so let us begin this chapter. So let us start with the introduction. So let us start with what exactly is open software is or open sources. So broadly, a term open source software is used to refer to those categories of software programs whose licenses do not impose much conditions. Okay, so we do use, many of us use open source software, and some of us also we use paid software. So we are well aware of all those things, isn't it? So such software generally gives user freedom to use the software for any purposes, to study and modify the program, and to redistribute copies of either the original or the modified programs. Now, we are also aware in the market there are certain kinds of a software which are actually, they are paid, but it will be hacked versions available and all. So beware to use such kind of softwares, because it is not really suggested to use such kind of a software. First thing is because it is somebody's property, somebody has developed it for a reason, and it is not ethically right for us to hack it and use it. And also it might invite various kind of viruses. That is also another reason we shouldn't be using such kind of a software. Okay, so there are a lot of free softwares which are available, or certain type of software which are also available in open sources, for which we have to pay very minimal. You can use always such type of a software. So to begin with, we will start with what is a free software. So a free software means the software which is freely accessible and can be freely used, changed, improved, copied, and distributed by all who wish to do so. Remember this. So that is means it can do whatever you want to do with that software. You can also update it. You can also delete certain things. You can redistribute. You can copy. Anything can be done. So more precisely, it refers to 4 kinds of freedom for the user of the software: the freedom to run the program for any purposes, the freedom to study how the program works and adapt it to your needs, that is modification. Okay, access to the source code is a precondition for this. The freedom to redistribute copies so you can help your neighbor, the freedom to improve the program, that is to update, okay, and release your improvements to the public so that the whole community benefits. Access to the source code is a precondition for this. So this is nothing but these are the conditions for a free software. When I talk about a free software, we will be able to do all these things. Then what about an open source software? Open source software, on the other hand, can be freely used, but it does not have to be free of charge. Okay, here the company constructing the business models around open source software may receive the payments concerning support for the development. So there may be certain type of charges when it comes to the open software. These charges may be related to the support and for any further development or updation which need to be done on those open softwares. So that is the main difference between your free as well as open source software. Also, it is not necessary that in open source software, the source code will be available. That is not, it's not a condition that they need not give you the source code, which means once again, you will not be able to update it according to your requirement. That will not be possible again with open source software. Okay, so open source software doesn't just mean access to the source code. The distribution terms of open source software must comply with the following criteria. So these are the set of conditions. The very first one is free distribution. What is free redistribution? The license shall not restrict any party from selling or giving away the software as a component of an aggregate software distribution containing programs for several different sources. The license shall not require a royalty or other fee for such sale. That is nothing but your free redistribution in case if you want to do the redistribution. Next is a source code. So what is a source code? The program must include source code and must allow distribution in some source code as well as complied form. So that is one of the conditions. It must be complied to this. So some form of a product is not distributed with the source code. There must be a well-publicized means of obtaining the source code for no more than a reasonable reproduction cost preferably. Okay, it can be downloading via internet without the charge. Now, derived works. What is derived works? The license must allow modification and derived works and must allow them to distribute under the same terms as the license of the original software. Okay, so no discrimination against persons or the groups. The license, which means the license must not discriminate against any persons or a group of persons. No discrimination against field of endeavor. So what does this means? This means that the license must not restrict anyone from making use of the program in a specific field of endeavor. Okay, for example, it may not restrict the program from being used in a business or being used by a genetic research. So anybody should be able to use it. You cannot have any kind of a discrimination there. And then comes sixth point is distribution of the license itself. The rights attached to the program must apply to all to whom the program is redistributed without the need to execution of an additional license by those parties. Even if I am redistributing it, it should be able to, the person who has been redistributed should be able to distribute it. License must not be specific to a product. Okay, the rights attached to the program must not depend on the programs being a part of a particular software distribution. So the license must not restrict the other software. So the license must not place restrictions on the other software that is distributed alone with the licensed software. That also one should keep in mind. And license must be technology neutral. So what do you mean by technology neutral? No provision of the license may be predicated on any individual technology or style or interface. It must be neutral to all kind of a technology. So these are the rules or the criteria for which it must be compliant when it comes to the open source software. So after free software and open source software, next comes is OSS and flaws. Now OSS refers to open source software, which refers to the software whose source code is available to the customer. Okay, and it can be modified and redistributed without any limitations. Unlike open source software, here OSS, it is an open source software whose source code is available. And OSS may be free of cost or with the payment of nominal charges that its developers may charge in the name of development, support, and software, just like our open source software. Next comes as flaws. Flaws refers to the free, libre, and open source software or free, libre, and open source software. Now, what is this libre? Libre here means a Spanish word and libre here means a Portuguese word. Both means freedom. Okay, because we are here talking about the free softwares. Next comes is GNU or GNU. Okay, so GNU in general is a animal, okay, found in Africa, which looks something like this. So here that is what is used as a logo for general public license, GNU. Okay, so that is because this animal represents freedom. Okay, so GNU project emphasizes on freedom, and thus its logo type shows a GNU, an animal living in freedom. So this is one of kind. And then we have FSF. Okay, FSF is a free software foundation. FSF is a non-profit organization created for the purpose of supporting free software movement. Richard Stallman founded FSF in 1985 to support new projects and new licenses. FSF has founded many software developers to write free software. Okay, nowadays it also works on legal structural issues for free software community. So basically, they are all working for the free software. Okay, so they are all not profit oriented. They are all working towards the intellectual availability, and it is for the betterment of the society. Next comes is OSI. OSI is an open source initiative. It is an organization dedicated to cause promoting open source software. So this is the logo, as you can see here, open source initiative. So Brood Perens and Eric Raymond were the founders of OSI that was founded in February 1998. OSI specifies the criteria for open source software and properly defines the terms and specification of open source software. Open source does not just mean access to the source code. The distribution term of the open source software must comply with the open source definitions by OSI. Just now we saw a list of open source for which it has to be complied, the list of criteria. So that is what this means. So this is your OSI. Next comes is W3C. So W3C is acronym for World Wide Web Consortium. Okay, W3C is responsible for producing the software standard for World Wide Web, something which we use very often, isn't it? So the W3C is created in October 1994 to lead the WWW to its full potential by developing common protocols that promote its evolution and ensure interoperability. Okay, so that is your W3C, World Wide Web Consortium. Next one is proprietary software. Now, what is this proprietary software? So proprietary software is a software that is neither open nor freely available. Its use is regulated, and further distribution and modification is either forbidden or requires special permissions by the supplier or vendor. That is what is called as a proprietary software. Source code proprietary software is normally not available. Okay, source code for this type of a software is not available. Okay, so these are the different kinds of open source softwares, and also we spoke about the free software. Next comes is last one is freeware. After that we have shareware. So freeware, the term freeware has no clear definition, but it is generally used for software which is available free of cost and which allows copying and further distribution, but not modification, and whose source code is not available once again. So as you can see, there are various differences in when we are talking about different kinds of software. For few, the source code is available, for few it is not available, for few it is available and it will allow us to do the modification, for few it is not available, and hence we will not be able to do the modification. So various different kinds of software which are available. So freeware should not be mistaken for open software or free software. So freewares are entirely different from these two. The last one for today's session is shareware. Shareware is a software which is made available with the right to redistribute copies. So here in shareware, like the name says, it allows us to redistribute the copies, but it is stipulated that if one intends to use the software, often after a certain period of time, then a license fee should be paid. Okay, so in shareware, the source code is not available. Modifications to the software are not allowed. So that is your share. All right, so that's all in today's session, students. Thank you for watching. Keep learning.